Hello everyone, welcome to the December State TA Day webinar. Please confirm that you can see Kristen and myself and see our screen and hear our voices. Thank you so much. All right, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started with Kristen. And is Angela joining us today?
She should be, so if she isn't on yet, she should be jumping on momentarily.
Okay, let's wait a few seconds for her. Just a reminder, everyone, we did cancel the November State TA Day webinar, and we will not be having one on Christmas Eve. Today will be the replacement for those two.
And Monica, can you confirm that you can see my slides?
Yes, I can.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, just let me know when I should get rolling.
All right, go ahead. All good. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So thank you all so much for having us back again. Angela and I are here just to reiterate a few things around billing for some of the the projects that we have going through the preschool development grant, as well as talk about an opportunity for you to provide your feedback around some of these projects and your experiences with them. So we'll go ahead and get started. As we have been doing in each of these presentations, we just want to remind you of where to find information around the different opportunities offered through the Preschool Development Grant. So for councils, there are two places. There's the Early Childhood Council webpage that's part of the Office of Early Childhood website. And on that page, you'll find any council-facing documents, so guidance, and administration documents, invoices, whatever you might need in terms of the way that you support the various project and grant opportunities offered through PDG. And then also for providers and the general public, we are continuing to put open opportunities on the Colorado Shines Brighter PDG Birth Through 5 tab of the Office of Early Childhood website. And all of the opportunities for now are up there for 2020, and in 2021 we'll be adding a new sort of drop down so folks can see the new opportunities that are coming in the new year. So just those quick reminders to start with. I want to start just with emphasizing the billing process again for the Small Business Development Center support that the Early Childhood Councils have been able to provide. So again, we'll send these slides to Monica so she can share them with you, and all of these things that you see hyperlinked on the screen now you'll be able to pull up directly. But just as a reminder, we do have a guidance document around this available to you just to walk through again the different activities that can be billed and how to do that. So most everyone has done this at this point, this step one, which was to complete the prior approval form. And I know Angela and I are just so appreciative to the councils that did get a chance to engage with the SBDCs this year, and going in and actually doing this form. Since this was a brand new project, we really had no idea what utilization was going to look like, and so we wanted to make sure we had enough funds to compensate you for your time, and this really helped. And so as far as we know, any SBDC, or I'm sorry, any early childhood council that worked with SBDCs has already done this step. If you haven't and you intend to be billing, if you can go in and put the information into the prior approval form as soon as possible, that would be excellent, because we do have to remove any funds that we're not going to spend from that GAE line out before the end of the year, or we lose them. So we're actually in that process right now. So absolutely, if you plan on billing, you haven't done the prior approval process, please do it like today. Would be great. And so this is just a recitation of the different activities that can be billed under this project. We've talked about these before, they're in the guidance document. And then I really want to emphasize this step too, because I think this is where most of you will have work to do coming up. So we do have a unique invoice form for this project, again, because it's its own unique line in the GAE. And so you know, that invoice form is in that Early Childhood Council webpage. It's in the guidance document. We've sort of hyperlinked all over the place. So you should have it. If not, you can also grab it from the slides when Monica sends them out. But just complete the invoice form. It's really very straightforward. And then if you can please make sure that it is submitted the 15th of the following month in which the work was done. So we know that most of the councils that supported the SBDCs in the training, for example, did that work in November and December. And so for the November work, we're going to need those invoices by December 15th. For the December work, we're going to need them by January 15th of 2021. And again, that's just a reminder of who to send the invoices to, but please, if you know you will be billing under this project through this invoice, make sure you write down those dates and get us those invoices timely, and we greatly appreciate that. Now I'll kick it over to Angela to talk about CDA updates.
Awesome. Thanks, Kristen. Can you hear me?
We can.
Perfect. I had to call in, so sorry about that. I had a little bit of a shuffle coming off of my last meeting. So we wanted to share just a couple of quick closing updates for the year on the CDA. Again, just reminding everybody that the last thing that folks have to complete when they're going for their CDA verification is an observation visit that is usually required to be in person by the Council for Professional Recognition. And unfortunately, with our current public health guidance in Colorado, as you may know, we're not allowing non-essential personnel into childcare programs at this point in time. So as a result of the mismatch in requirements at this point in time, childcare licensing has put together a CDA observation waiver. And all candidates have to do is upload the proof of their 120 training hours, their 480 hours of work experience, and their CDA completion receipt. And then that letter will be submitted directly to that candidate so that they can apply for jobs if they don't have one currently. If they're currently working perhaps as an assistant, that they can then move forward and work as a lead teacher. Or if they'd like to change programs, they would be able to, again, apply for other jobs. This letter will be valid for 6 months after the time of awarding that letter, and we just put that check-in date together because we want to make sure that if public health guidance changes in several months, that they can move forward with completing their CDA observation in person, or if the Council for Professional Recognition reverses their current requirements and does eventually allow for virtual observations, we will then pursue that as well. So again, just wanted to remind you that the observation waiver is available. And then I got some exciting news yesterday from the Council for Professional Recognition about what they call the CDA amnesty program. And normally when somebody's CDA expires, that person has to go through the entire CDA process again. So again, that full 120 hours of training, full 480 hours work experience, and the CDA exam, whereas the procedures for a renewal are much lesser in terms of the number of training hours and the paperwork and things that they have to turn in. So when something has lapsed, they usually have to start over, but because of COVID, they have allowed for this amnesty program to go into place. And that was originally expiring at the end of this month, but they've now extended that into June of 2021. So we're really excited to share that news with you. So if you know of any programs or candidates that maybe have an expired CDA, but would like to continue working in a childcare facility using that as their mechanism for qualifications, have them take a look at the CDA amnesty program. And they would also be eligible to apply for the CDA scholarship program because that renewal fee is something that counts under the scholarship program. So just wanted to tie all those things together and share with you that that extension is there. And I'll drop some links into the chat at the end with information about that. But we can go on to the next slide just because I want to be cognizant of time since Chris and I have to jump back onto another training in a few minutes. Just wanted to give a few updates on the MicroGrant procedures. Again, for closing out the year, we've had several questions come through that I think were helpful for a lot of the councils here. So I just wanted to give you a quick update on, referring back to that guidance document if you need anything. Actually, can we go back to one slide, Kristen? I got some further clarification just as we're wrapping up on the difference between services and purchases and what dates we need to have those the spending complete by. So for services, all of those things need to be completed by December 30th. And what I mean by that is if a program was doing their childcare health consulting under the PDG microgrant, we can pay for anything from August through December, or any other services as long as they're completed by December 30th. So we cannot prepay for services that are going to occur in 2021. So if that's, the health consultant is going to come back in January, February, et cetera, unfortunately, those can't be included in the reimbursement process. Purchases are pretty straightforward. So if they're buying supplies, they can buy those things up until December 30th if for whatever reason that's how it needs to happen. And then we have time to collect those receipts into 2021, and I'll talk about that a little bit more in just a second. But trainings was the other one that I wanted to point out because they can still, that one is a little bit more gray in that we can pay for trainings as long as they start in December, but they can be, they can roll into 2021 as long as it's one training that's connected. So I think I saw there was a Pyramid Plus training that starts in December and it ends in January. That would be okay. But some of the EQIT classes that aren't starting until January, again, cannot be included in this year's microgrant purchases. So now we can go on to that next slide, Kristen. So just what I was noting about receipts. So we have time to collect those receipts and go through the reimbursement process in January and February of early next year. So if your programs haven't submitted them yet, I hope that's not causing too much stress for you. So you have some time, again, as long as they meet those spending deadlines of December 30th and those service deadlines of December 30th, we can collect those receipts into January, and your final invoices are due to us in the middle of February. So February 12th is that date. I believe that's around 45 days after the new year, give or take. And I think it falls on a Friday. So that's the deadline that we're shooting for those final invoices for microgrants. And then from there, it should take us about 3 to 4 weeks to process them and get those payments back to you. And then, so that invoice link is again in these slides that we'll send out afterwards. And you can email those into our generic invoicing inbox. And then beyond that, we were hoping to get a final report out of just kind of the status of each of these projects, including, how many licensed childcare slots were they able to complete as part of their microgrant funding? Did they complete their CCAP fiscal agreement and things of that nature? And again, all of that is detailed in the guidance document that was linked on the previous slide. So with all of that in mind, we'll go on to the next slide. We know that this has been a fun round of first round of projects. Not everything has gone as cleanly as we would have hoped. So we're going to take some time to collect some feedback on all of this to make sure that we, maybe make some iterative changes to these projects, or at least to the logistical components of these projects, to better meet the needs of council in your support of this work, as well as for the providers who are carrying out the work on the ground. So with that in mind, there's going to be several questions for each of these. It's about 3 to 5 questions for the 4 strategies listed, and then there's an additional section on just how we've communicated with you through this first round of projects. And you'll see things like, how many CDA waivers have you seen in your community, or are you aware of the CDA waiver process? And if not, what other types of resources would you need for that? Feedback on the CDA scholarship application, and then the intake and actual case management as that moves forward. In terms of the microgrants, it's, how is the guidance documentation? Is it clear enough? What would you like to see changed? From the acceptance to the actual spending, and then the invoicing process. You can give feedback on all of that. Business training and consultation. Again, did you make any referrals? Did you help with any of the outreach? Did you attend any of the trainings? And any other resources that you would need to be successful to support business training and consultation. And then similar with the PEG inclusion and universal design projects, have you had any feedback from the programs that participated? And again, are there any other things that you would like to give us feedback on? And then in terms of communication, we just asked about the modes of communication that we've used to contact you about these, and it'll allow for further feedback there as well. So with that in mind, I'll pause and see if Kristen has anything else to add about the survey. We're hoping it doesn't take too much time. And again, we really just want this to be an opportunity for you to give us feedback on how it's been going and how we can better support you over the next year.
Yeah, and I would just add, I'm having paranoia because I'm working on one screen that I'm about to drop in the wrong hyperlink. So what I'm going to do is stop sharing in a minute and then drop the hyperlink to the survey, because so I can verify I'm sharing the right one with you. But yeah, as Angela mentioned, we hope this to be a fairly quick process, and there's an option in each of these categories to say, I didn't engage with this project, and you just move to the next section. So we're hoping it's not overly burdensome, but we've had a chance to have some direct conversations with some councils, but not all, and we just really want to hear how we can make things better for next year. So any thoughts that you can share would be greatly appreciated. And I think Angela mentioned this, but I'll just say it again. We're hoping to close it out by the end of next week, which would be December 18th, with the idea that after that, we're sort of entering a time off zone with a lot of folks' schedules. So we want to make sure we get this feedback prior to that.
Yeah, and one other little thing that I'll add is that you may still have some communication from our overall PDG evaluation folks. That's different than this. This is really around the logistics and implementation of these projects, and the evaluation itself is really about the greater impact of these strategies and who's being served and that kind of thing. So we hope that you'll still participate in both. And I don't think that they're doing any evaluation work at the current time, so hopefully this doesn't contribute to your survey fatigue. But again, this will really inform us in our operations and make sure the guidance is maybe pulled in tighter, or we share more information just to make this easier in the future. So thank you again for all of your support and your hard work in implementing things from the MicroGrant, CDA, et cetera. And we appreciate the time today.
Absolutely. And I just dropped the link into the chat box, so hopefully everyone can see that and it pulls up okay for you.
The link worked, Kristen. Thanks.
We don't have any questions, just a comment. Thank you for all your work and efforts with these PDG projects. And I know you guys have to jump off because you have another meeting, so thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Thanks,
Thank you all so much for your support.
All right, next up we have Josh Franklin from the Clayton team. He's going to give us an update on the Colorado Shines virtual rating. Hello, Josh.
Hey.
I sent you the screen. Do you have slides to share with us?
I do.
Okay.
So you see it?
I do not see it. Did you receive? Okay, I see them now.
Okay, great.
Can we see
Okay.
you?
All right. I don't know if that's what you want to see, but I'm gonna turn that off, and I'll go through the presentation. And yeah. Right. Hello everyone. Yeah, I just have some updates on the virtual ratings. Right, we released the first round of Colorado Shines ratings right before Thanksgiving of the virtual ratings. So it's exciting to kind of get that ball rolling. So I'm going to talk about it here. So yeah, virtual pilot overview. So this is our second little pilot. Our first one was internal with the preschool on our site, the EduCare site. Let's see. Right, yeah, the two pilots were reviewing surveys now. Let's see. Yeah, we posted a lot of resources on our website. And I'll show that website again. I'm sure many of you know. And we constantly updated that and iterated our resources with feedback from programs. Yeah. Let's see. Cohort 2 was right with programs who I reached out to, and they said that they're stable and ready. On the queue, 71% of programs were located in a metropolitan area, not our Denver metropolitan area, but Colorado Springs. I'm not quite certain actually if Colorado Springs was, but I know that Grand Junction was for sure. Let's see, 53% were going through the ratings for the first time, so those are programs from the queue. So that was good to get programs participating. And then I do want to remind that these were just the initial ratings, and there's still opportunities for resubmission and appeals, and those are getting scheduled. You know, consultations are happening or have happened. I know there's already been some resubmissions rolling in, but 68% of programs received a level 3 or a level 4 initially. Only 16% of programs dropped by 1 rating level, but that was not related to the ERS score. So that they're eligible for resubmission, and hopefully we can find what they need and get them to improve that. Let's see, 94% of the ERS scores were higher virtually than they had been for programs going through the rating again. And basically what I did is, if there's multiple ratings, I couldn't always compare classroom to classroom, but I, took the average of, ITERS ratings, ITERS infant ratings or ITERS whatever, and then compared that to what they currently earn, because, right, they just had 1 ITERS toddler or 1 ITERS infant. So yeah, 94% of the scores were higher than virtual. So yes, so yeah, there's probably many reasons around there. Let's see, so information sessions. So yeah, we had 9 information sessions. We just wrapped up the last one for the virtual rating. So yeah, so 200 each of the focus. Right, so kind of targeted for different audiences, provider support staff. 271 participated, some more than once. 206 were unique. That means they didn't participate in more than one. So that's exciting. And the majority of the participants that attended multiple sessions were coaches and directors, and most of those attended more than one session. Yeah, so the chart below, right, we got 59% were providers, directors, owners of people who attended, and then 41% were coaches, etc., NABs, councils, many people on this call attended to these. So thank you. So right, we sent surveys and we to people who attended these. 33% response rate. Feedback was positive, right? 94% of those rated the session as helpful or informative. 80% of participants had previously rated, and 74% stated they felt prepared for the virtual rating. Just some general tips and reminders here, right? All of the resources are still on our website, and those are actually the most accurate resources are what are on our website for right now. If you guys know of any programs, or if you guys have questions, reach out to me. I see everyone who's on here. A lot of people I've probably emailed within this week, so you guys know that I'm really responsive. And I guess right now what I'm kind of working on is I'm really trying to get programs scheduled and kind of get things figured out. And I know that the only certainty out there is uncertainty, but just trying to get an idea of where programs are, if they want to rate virtually, if they don't want to rate virtually, if they're closed, stuff like that, just to try to get scheduling kind of a little more planned out. It's hard because things kind of change, and I know. So if you have questions, reach out to me. If you could reach out to programs that that are in the queue or were scheduled to rate and had that postponed, let me know, because any information is helpful. And I'd really love to get things scheduled and give people an idea about when they're going to get rated. Let's see. Yep, documentation is still going to be through the portal. And like I said, the most updated evidence guides are only on our website. So let's see, ratio forms uploaded was indicator evidence. So that's kind of a little change. That was an observable indicator. And obviously in-person observations aren't happening. Providers must use Google Drive account provided to them by their lead assessor. They don't need to create one. So there's been a couple tech issues, but I think we're kind of working through those. So again, the programs who participated in the this last pilot, right, they were definitely the guinea pigs, and they're really great, and I really appreciate them for going through kind of blind. So we're kind of going through blind too. So even though we spent a lot of work and hours on this rating. So so yeah, the Google Drive is just for the video, ERS video submissions, and then the additional picture evidence. So nothing like the uploaded indicator evidence. That's the same old. Assessors review, and then the video submissions and will allow additional time if major components are missing. Because the word is, get everything done early. It's kind of the overarching idea is just get things done early, because when things hang around and get put off the last minute, funny things happen. So let's see. This will be communicated 3 calendar days extension if requested to provide additional evidence if needed. So that would be right, it's at the end of the first month. The assessor's like, hey, I need to see some more evidence of X, and then they get 3 days to upload an additional video or some kind of extra evidence. So we're trying to be a little bit flexible, but still we want to meet some deadlines, just because, right, we have programs coming next month, and it's kind of a machine with a lot of gears running, and any kind of gravel or delay in one really kind of slows the whole process down. So but other than that, that's what I have. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer any the best I can, or can find out the answer and get back to you.
Thanks so much, Josh. We do have a question. It says, do you have a current list of sites in the queue you can send council so that they can support them?
Yeah, I do. I do want to reach out to councils with every program that's in the queue that have submitted or is expiring, and just be like, hey, can I get an update on this? Are you guys ready? Or are they ready? Or do you have any information? You can email me. I know I saw Randy on there. Randy, I'm going to get back to you on that today. She requested that. So, but yeah, email me. And really, if whatever information you can provide to me would be helpful. And it's kind of going program by program, and there's probably, I think, 180, 200 programs to kind of get scheduled. So it's tracking a lot of things. So any extra support you can give me is helpful.
Thanks, Josh. Just a reminder, if you guys have questions, go ahead and type them in the question box, or you can raise your hand and I can unmute you if you'd rather ask your question out loud. So here's one. It says programs will not be able to upload this weekend. Will they get additional time if they need it, or the downtime extends beyond this weekend?
So that would be for some uploaded evidence?
Yes.
Is that what? Yeah, I mean, just have the program email me, or have someone email me. We can figure some stuff out. So, right, especially around the holidays, I get that it's it's a weird time, and already weird times. So yeah, just have the program reach out to me and say, hey, I might need some extra time or day or something, and on a case-by-case basis, we can figure that out.
Thank you. If there's an issue for a particular program, I will let you know, is what they say. And they're talking about, because of the we're moving to Salesforce Lightning, you will not be able to log into Colorado Shines over the weekend, because they're going to be making that transition and doing some testing. So that's probably what they're thinking of with wanting additional days. All right. Thanks so much, Josh.
Yeah,
Go
and
ahead,
I was just about to say, Monica, we can talk about that if that's a blanket thing that we want to do to give a couple extra days, or or a case-by-case situation. So,
All right, sounds good. Thanks so much.
all right, thank you.
All right, next up we have Jennifer O'Brien from CDE. She'll be giving us an update on what's going on with the Early Childhood Council Credential. Hello, Jennifer.
Hi, everyone. Monica, do you want to run my slides, or you can?
I have them, but I think it's best if you run them if that's easy for you. Otherwise, I can. I just sent you the screen.
You got it. So are you guys seeing the first slide of a slide deck right now?
Yes.
Okay, great. So hi, everyone. I'm here to talk.
Though.
What's that?
The slide's not in presentation mode.
Gotcha. How's that? Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I'm here to talk to you about some issues with the Early Childhood Professional Credential, and I'm joined by Renee Alarcon, who is the PDIS Service Administrator. So what I'm going to be talking through with you today is basically what happened, who was affected, and then what happens now. Okay, so those will be the three pieces that I'll talk you through here today. Okay, so the first one, what happened? So obviously we had issues in the scoring engine. The large majority of the issues were related to the engine assigning levels that did not correspond to the number of points. As you all know, there are point thresholds for the different levels in the Early Childhood Professional Credential, and the points and the level were not corresponding. We also had accounts where the points just weren't calculating correctly. And that was, you know, for a number of reasons. And we closed the interface, as most of you know, from October 29th to December 2nd to work on these issues. So who was affected? We had about 3,500 users who were affected negatively by these bugs. And what I mean by that is that people either experienced a credential level decrease or an expiration date that is now closer to the current date, okay? And then we saw no detectable pattern in terms of geography or points in a specific pathway or date, anything like that. Okay, so now I'm going to talk a little bit about what happens now. What do we do? First thing for you to know is that the vendor has resolved the issues and the credential information that is showing is accurate. So obviously, the credential connects to a number of different programs in the state, and one of them is Colorado Shines, QRIS. And so there were some adjustments made for November programs. They had a shortened submission window, and they all received this communication from the CDHS and Clayton team. And then obviously there are professionals who use the Early Childhood Professional Credential to satisfy childcare licensing personnel requirements. And so what's happening with this piece is provisional letters are being issued for those who are in this situation, okay? And they experienced a level drop due to the bug fixes. And these users have been notified of this. A little bit more here about the provisional letters. They will be issued for 6 months for teachers, teacher assistants, and small center directors. and 9 months for large center directors. And the reason for this is the requirements for large center directors are more than they are for teacher assistants and small center directors. And those who need these provisional letters can send an email with the subject line credential refresh request to these specific email addresses. So there's a separate one for directors and one for lead and assistant teachers. And as many of you know, the team who runs this webinar is really good at sending this information out right after the webinar is over. So you'll get this. So you don't need to scramble to write things down or anything like that. More about the provisional letters. So child care licensing is asking professionals to allow 14 to 21 business days to process the request. They're also asking that these emails be sent and received by January 31st of 2021. This is to kind of contain things and really get people moving towards meeting the requirements again. And then the next bullet is really around what the email needs to include, and I won't read those to you there. You can just read through those, but it's pretty obvious information. Okay. And then the last component of what happens now is that the PDIS help desk is having a lot of conversations with our affected users about, where their credential is now and how to increase their credential. So the help desk has been pretty busy, but we're happy to help people with this situation because we know it's tough for people. So I can take questions now, and if you have questions for me a little bit later in the day or in the week, there's my email address. If you have questions about how this all relates to QRIS, there's Karen and Burden's address. Most of you know that already. And then if you have questions about how this relates to the child care licensing requirements, there's Teresa's email address, and obviously the PDIS help desk contact information is on there as well.
Thanks so much, Jennifer. No questions so far, but we'll wait a few seconds to see if anyone's typing them in.
Sounds good.
And once again, just raise your hand if you'd rather ask the question out loud. So here's a question. It says, will this all be communicated with providers?
So this was communicated to the people who experienced a loss, meaning that they had a decrease in level or an expiration that moved closer to today's date. All of those users, all of those affected users were contacted. So yes.
Thank you. That's all the questions for now, Jennifer. Just be sure to follow up with Jennifer if you have any questions.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Next, we have Jennifer McDonald that's going to give us an update on the courses available on PDIS, and she's part of our instructional design team.
Hey, Monica, can you hear me?
Hello, I can. Let me make you the presenter. Oh, hold on. Okay.
Okay. Do you see my slide?
Yes, I can see them.
In presenter mode, hopefully. Okay. So I just wanted to give a real quick update on training and go through a couple of things just real fast to get you up to speed on the things that we've been doing in 2020. So most of 2020 for us has really been focused on the upcoming implementation of the ERS3 tools. We went from having 1 hour focused on the environment rating scales to having over 7 hours focused in different settings and really targeted to the different age range and the different scales. So now we have courses that are targeted directly to home providers with images and scenarios that are relevant to homes for the Vickers tools. And we also have a course just targeted towards coaches and supporting programs who are going through a rating. So all of these courses are now available up in the PDIS, and Spanish versions of all of these should be coming early next year. The other bit about Spanish is thank you so much to Monica. She's been helping us so much and others on our team in really increasing our Spanish offering. So we still have a long way to go, but we've focused on our social emotional training hours available in Spanish. Also, most of our pre-licensing, not pre-licensing, our orientation and pre-service trainings are now available in Spanish, those that we control, so to speak, as an office. And we were also increasing the courses that count towards our level 2. So and more are coming. We have 2 more coming in Spanish, at least by the end of this month, in addition to those 7.5 hours of ERS courses coming early next year. So by early next year, we should have more than 50% of our courses that count towards level 2 available in Spanish in the PDIS. And I also just want to give a quick shout out to our PDIS training alignment process. There are so many clock hours that are now currently available and searchable within the PDIS to support outside trainers and training organizations. So you can see some of this information on your screen. There are over 35 hours of social emotional training available, over 41 hours that are available in Spanish, courses that focus on infants and toddlers, ELDGs, coaching, business practices, and so forth. So thanks to the training alignment process, there are a lot of now mostly virtual instructor-led, if not all virtual instructor-led trainings available through the PDIS. So I recommend, these are changing all the time since they are scheduled events, but I recommend that folks kind of check back on a regular basis to see what's available, because Mary Heffernan is working diligently with organizations and adding courses all the time. And so what's on the horizon for 2021? We have there's a lot basically coming in early 2021. We'll have courses on early intervention and supporting families through inclusive care. Both of those will be published in English and Spanish at the same time. We're also working, as many of you know, on updating our pre-licensing curriculum. And if you haven't already, you'll be probably hearing from Sybil Holmes, who is our instructional designer on the team, who's currently working with many approved training vendors who teach this training currently and our licensing partners to do a training analysis. We're hoping to be very thoughtful and careful with the redesign of a curriculum and a trainer approval process. So hopefully it really solves for some pain points that we know exist in this process. Another big pain point for providers has been the emergency preparedness course that's currently linked through the PDIS, but is a course that is the federal FEMA course that we recommend that directors take. We will be developing a Colorado-specific emergency preparedness course in 2021 to meet this requirement, and we're hoping that that will be really useful for folks and focus less on hurricanes, for example, and more on forest fires and pandemics and so forth. We are also working on courses around trauma-informed care, strengthening families, self-care. So there's a lot to come. And a lot of these courses have come because we've been hearing feedback from those on this call and others around the state. So we have a survey out there that some of you on the call may have participated in, and some of the responses that you can see on your screen. And there's a couple of notes I put in here about things that we've been doing to address some of these requests. So we really do appreciate the feedback that you've been giving us, and we want to hear more of it. So here's my email address and a link to the form. So please know that we are listening to your feedback, and we'd love to hear courses that you'd like to see, other features that you'd like to see, other resources. And that's all I have. So short and sweet, all of these links will be in the follow-up email that Monica sends out.
Thanks so much, Jen. Can you stay for a few seconds just to see if there's any questions?
Of course.
Thanks. Nothing yet. All right, well, if you guys think of anything, go ahead and email Jen.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we just have some updates from our unit. Are you seeing the blue screen that says CCQI unit updates? Hopefully.
Yes,
Okay.
we are.
Okay. So just a quick reminder, the Colorado Shines QI Targeted and Colorado Shines QI Expanded, they've been available as of December 1st. We haven't had that many programs apply, but they have been available since the 1st. Hopefully that's not news to anyone. So go reach out to those programs that have never participated before or have not been eligible. And that way they can start spending their funds come January or as soon as they apply. Does anyone have any questions about the eligibility under those? I feel like we're still getting, there's still some confusion around that. If you do have any questions, you can ask us now or reach out to Charlie, Michelle, or myself. They're, it's a little bit different, kind of confusing. You can also reference the Colorado Shines business rules that are in your contract. There, it's pretty clear to see which programs are eligible and how they can apply. And then just next, a reminder that we have our Salesforce Lightning Go Live this weekend. So what that means is that no one will be able to log into Colorado Shines over the weekend. Providers will not have that capability because we're going to do the Go Live and there will be a lot of testing going on. So hopefully it'll be perfect by Monday. Just a reminder, there's, we're doing the best we can to have it work 100% on Monday. But if there are little glitches that you're finding or you're hearing from providers that are having some technical difficulties, just go ahead and email the help desk. That way it helps us track it because it creates a case and organizes it. And then we can share that with the system developers. So although Charlie, Michelle, and I do like hearing from you guys on our personal or our email, it's easier for us to track it if you do it through the Colorado Shines help desk. And just a quick shout out to, we did last webinar, we requested that some QI navigators and council staff help us do some testing with this system. And we had a few volunteers, and just thank you guys so much. You know who you are. We really appreciate it. Couldn't do it without you. All right, we'll move on to the emergency childcare bill. Stacy, are you ready? Do you have slides for us?
Yes, I'm ready. And I do have one slide. So if you want to share the screen sharing with me, that'd be great.
All right.
Okay. Well, hi, everyone. I hope you're hanging in there. I wanted to just provide a very kind of high-level update on something that I imagine many of you have been tracking, but it's exciting news for our childcare programs in the field in light of what's been a really difficult year. We recently had some additional childcare emergency relief funds granted to support both sustainability grants and a grant program that will support emerging and expanding childcare programs. So I wanted to give just a high-level overview for those of you that may not have been tracking it as closely, and then provide some updates for next steps. So to start, the childcare sustainability grants are really focused on those programs that are open and operating. And while we don't have exact amounts for the grants, we know that they will range from about $500 to $35,000 likely. The award amounts will be based on the license capacity of the program. And at this time, we're estimating roughly 2,600 childcare providers will receive these grants. It's important for programs to understand that they will need to update their program information within the Colorado Shines portal in order to be eligible. That portal is being modified over the weekend so that it will be easier for programs to report their planned reopening date in the case that they are temporarily closed. And a communication will be going out to all licensed programs on Monday. So what I might do is share that communication out with councils. I may send it to ECLA and have them share that out so you guys have a point of reference when talking with childcare programs within your area. These grants will be dispersed by a vendor, the same vendor that supported the emergency childcare payments. So we'll be working with metrics on this effort. But really, if you all can help get the word out and just encourage programs, this is going to be an important support for them to cover higher cost of operations, during the COVID period. The second grant program is for emerging and expanding childcare programs. So this one is a little bit different. It's focused on existing childcare programs, but it also includes aspiring providers, individuals who are interested in becoming range. These grants range in cost as well, and we are still working on finalizing the overall structure for the grant amounts that will be allowed for both of these scenarios. We're expected to target communities that have a lack of license capacities and providers who are kind of committed to quality program and to serve children participating in CCAP. The overall impact of this grant is to support approximately 300 new or existing providers and contribute to an additional 20,000 license slots. And for this effort, we will be partnering with early childhood councils to support the outreach and education efforts. The way that the grant is written, or that the legislation is written, is there's about 10% roughly of the funds that can be directed to councils. And that's, I don't have the exact amount, but it's right around that $850,000 amount. And we expect that that will go towards base implementation support for all councils, so that you all can appropriately staff up in the case that that's needed or increase time for staff, just to add more robust kind of effort on your part. The funding lasts for an 18-month time period, so we are looking to implement this effort by the end of January, and it will conclude July 2022. We're rapidly kind of working to develop both the work plan and the policies and procedures for this effort, which will outline allowable expenses. And the important thing is, with preschool development grant, and I know you all are planning on providing feedback to Angela Ben-Zachary on, the logistics that worked well and those that were a little bit challenging. We don't want to reinvent any wheel here, so we are looking at the MicroGrant program that's offered through the and the business support that's being offered through PDG as a starting place, and we'll be then kind of filling in gaps and considering feedback that you all provide for that program. So we're working closely with Angela in that regard. But I wanted to mention here, because these are state general funds, we will be able to support capital improvements. So we'll be looking at those business rules as well, just so there's some, familiarity across the different grant offerings. We have started conversations with ECLA, with Megan at ECLA, and have determined, that that we want to leverage and utilize existing times that councils get together to discuss strategies and share, network, to share things that are working and some challenges in the area. And so, as many of you may remember, during the emergency childcare, we had huddles happening that were broader than just councils, and we'd like to kind of reestablish that for this effort, and have licensing specialists join on some hot topic calls, so that it provides a nice opportunity for you all to ask questions of us, and then possibly, even break up into regional groups to share what's been working and really work through and get support to address challenges that you might be facing. So more to come on this, both from the contract side of things. We will be needing to modify and amend the council contracts, as well as, the overall logistics of that, but wanted to use this time today with you all to give you a heads up. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have at this time.
Thanks, Stacy. We do have a question regarding the Child Care Sustainability Grant. And it says, in the 2,600 estimate based on, is the 2,600 estimate based on how many programs are currently operating?
I think that that definitely informed the 2,600. As you all know, in Colorado, childcare programs can kind of unofficially, they can close and we may not know it. They aren't required to close their license. So we're going off of what information is currently within the portal. But we do know that that portal has had its challenges for cases that the programs are temporarily closed. So this is just an approximation at this point. What's important to know is when programs go in and update, we will be using that as kind of the universe of programs, and then basing the actual grant amounts, like working on projections to determine the actual grant amounts at that time. So that January 15th date is really important.
Thank you. For the sustainability grant, does open and operating mean in person only, or would programs who are offering virtual class count?
I don't have an answer to that. I believe that it's, the intent for this is really, actually, I don't have an answer to that. I'm going to have to follow up.
Thanks, Stacy. And yeah, I had a few people ask me that today as well. Anyway.
Yeah. It's the first time I've heard that question, so it's a good
It's
one.
a good one, thinking of like the school districts specifically. Our next question is, could the merging and expanding grants be used to start a childcare center? Is there a timeline as to when a potential provider has to be licensed if they receive these funds?
So a lot of that is going to depend on the policies and procedures. And one of the things we're getting clarification for is, even in the case that someone's starting the process, whether a license number, like meaning submitting an application to start a program, is whether a license number is automatically generated. But for sure, the intention here is to increase the overall number of slots and really target those areas where we know that the license capacity isn't sufficient to support the demand of families. So whether that's expanding an existing program or opening up a family child care home or a center, those all would be allowable.
Thanks, Stacy. And how will programs be affirmed that they're updated in the portal?
So that the communication will clarify all of those steps that are needed, including kind of the confirmation. And this is why the update is happening within the portal, just so there's confidence on the part of the program that they've done all they need to do to be considered eligible.
Thank you. And someone wanted us to repeat the question that was asked that Stacy said she would need to follow up on. And that question was, for the sustainability grants, does open and operating mean in person only, or would programs who are offering virtual class count as open? And so that's the question we have to follow up on. Can the expanded childcare funding be used for school-age programs or licensed learning pods?
Can you ask that again? I'm sorry, I'm typing in the question.
Yeah.
To see if Rosa could answer real quick. Go ahead.
Can the expanding childcare funding be used for school-age programs or licensed learning pods?
They school-age programs are eligible. I don't know how licensed learning pods differ, if that's like a temporary or provisional operating situation or not. So Monica, can you just jot that one down, and we'll ask licensing and get that clarification.
Of course. And the person that asked this question did leave, but I think it'll be helpful and maybe they'll come back and listen in. More of a comment. It says, a question regarding merging and expanding. I assume councils will also be responsible for implementation and not just outreach and education. We have found that because these orders do not go through, we are doing a lot of work to support this.
Yeah, so I do see councils being involved in a broader range. So some of those things that we anticipate the use of those funds for could, include coaching. It could include the purchase of materials. So the remaining of the funds that aren't supporting base implementation will go into the general accounting encumbrance. So that will be another change that you all see within your contract.
Thanks, Stacy. Okay, the CCR&R role is to support providers. What a great way to disperse the funds. Okay, more of a comment. Thank you.
And I know we're over. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Monica, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, if you guys, I know this is kind of new news to everyone, so if you think of anything, you can reach out to your coordinator and we can follow up with Stacy, or reach out to Stacy. Kind of new information for everyone here. So you'll probably think of something once we tune out.
Yeah, definitely. As you guys have questions, just know this is brand new, and now the task is to get things implemented, like get the policies and procedures in place, get things implemented, and get the money to the providers who really need it. And so just know we're running as fast as we can to get this up and going, but and that we understand ongoing communication is important, and we'll be using those huddles as an opportunity to share out more information with you all, and likely the weekly communication. I think we're going to use whatever means we have to continue, getting the communication and final decisions out as soon as we can. So, but if there's questions that come up in the meanwhile, or things that still are unclear, those questions will help us really frame out the needed communication or frame out details within the policies and procedures. So don't hesitate to send those our way.
All right, no more questions, just a few thank yous. We appreciate the continued opportunity to collaborate and support our providers and families, and we appreciate you guys. Thank you for all of your hard work.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
Okay, Stacy's our last presenter for the day, so you guys will get back a few minutes in your day. Thank you for joining us. And just a reminder, this is our webinar for December. We will not have one at the end of the month. So we wish you guys happy holidays. We will be around since we can't go anywhere anyway. So reach out if you guys need anything. Take care.
Thank you, everyone. Happy holidays.